Hi again, everyone. Zampersand's back with you for Building Basics 102. What I want to do this time is we're going to take this cube that we made earlier, which is 1 by 1 by 1, and we're going to turn it into basically a piece of plywood, and we are going to then copy it. We're going to fit it together squarely with the piece we copied it from, and having no overlap so that the images of the objects don't shimmer against each other, which happens when there's overlap. And then we're going to uh, make a few more copies, turn it basically into a six-sided cube again, and put them all together. Okay, so I'm going to get started with that now because it actually takes a bit of time, and try to move clearly and let you know what I'm doing. And I'll have to pause and then jump ahead at a certain stage. Okay, so first thing is that we want to make it a piece of plywood. So I'm going to click on the stretch button so we know which of the X, Y, or Z we want to change. So I want to change it from thickness, so red to red, and it's going to be 0.02 is what I'm typing in down here. And then I press enter. And we've got our plywood right there. And I'm going to go back up to position, and now we want to copy it. So to copy something, you hold down your shift key, select the arrow when it's on the position, and left click and drag. And there we have our copy, okay? And then we're going to rotate it, and we're going to get it roughly in the right spot. And what we want to do is I'm going to zoom in so you can see that we want to get this exactly. So rather than 280 degrees down here on the green, we're going to change that to 270. And you can see how that is now perfectly flat. Now, just remember in math that your compass would be 0 and 360 here. The top would be, I'll show you here on the circle, it'll be easier to see. Okay, this was 0 and 360, this was 90, this was 180, and this was 270. Okay, so let's get this to fit together with the other one. Drag this over just a bit for you. There we go. And down. Now, remembering that we want there to be no overlap, okay? So if we can look really closely there, you can see how part of the texture is going through this way, another part of it's going through that way. And that will flicker depending on where we move our camera and so we want to eliminate that. Now, it is the X, or the red, that we want to work with here. And see how it's 0.0. Okay. So we have it at 96.5 meters, and this one is at 96 meters. So you'd think that that would line up, but the measurements of all the objects are taken from the exact center of the object. So this 96.5 doesn't account for the 0.02 centimeters that we made down here. And half of 0.02 is 0.01, obviously. So we're going to take that 0.01 and we're going to add it to this 96.5. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it snap in. So we're going to put in 0.1, 96.51, and bingo, there you go. So now it's exactly lined up. And our height is the blue, that's 22. And we can see that that's 21 and a half, 0.25, and that 0.25 is why this part's not lining up here. So let's get rid of the 0.25, and you can see again, we've got the half of the width of the wood. because it's taking it from the center again. So we're going to add 0.1 to that. Okay. And so they line up right there. Now, I'm just going to quickly run through the next step, which is copying this one. So holding down the Shift key, and copy, and dragging it over here. Now, when we're working with our measurements, remember that the inside of the box has a different measurement than the outside of the box. So when it comes to putting on the top and the sides, the piece of plywood may have to be cut slightly bigger or slightly larger depending on which way you decide to put it together. I'm going to pause there. I'm going to line these up and I'm going to throw the sides on and the top, and then I'm going to show you how to glue it all together. But when you're doing it, if things don't fit together quite right, then check your numbers here in the position and remember the thickness of the wood and how when you're working with the, say for example here, from the outside of here of this piece of wood plus the length of this, which is a meter, to the outside of this one. So we know the outsides or the thickness of the wood, sorry, is 0.02 plus 0.02 plus 1 full meter. So the complete from edge to edge is 1 meter, 0.04 meters wide. Okay, so I'll pause it and I'll put it together. Okay, so here's our six-sided cube, and what we're going to do now is we're going to join it all together. And in order to join it together, we're going to do what's called linking. And to link, you select the pieces you want. Now, there's one thing I want to mention before I go ahead and do it, is when you're linking a bunch of objects, or prims, which is what they're also referred to as, together, the last one that you select becomes what's called the root prim, and that's where the measurements are taken from. Even though the crosshairs, when you select position, will look as if they're in the center of the object, it's the root prim that has the measurements taken from it. So in order to select multiple prims or objects, you hold down your Shift key. Having selected one, we hold down our Shift key and we left click on each of the ones we want to. And now I'm holding down my Alt and Control key to move my camera. And I continue to, now I hold down my Shift key again. There, there, and there. So now I've selected all of them. And there's two ways I can do it. I can either go up to the drop down menu and I can click where it says link, or I can hit Control L. So I'm just going to go ahead and click link. And you can see the objects are now joined together. They're all outlined in blue except the last one. Let's see if I can zoom in a little better for you. Except the last one that I clicked on, and it's outlined in yellow, and that shows that it's the root prim. Now quickly on how to unlink those, you hold down, we'll do it this way, Control Shift L, or hold down the Control Shift L, and then you see how they become all yellow. Then you hold down the Shift key and pick them off one at a time. So these three facing us are now unlinked, and the others are linked. So I want to link those back up again. So I click on them again, and I click Control L to link. Now only one other thing is the edit link parts. So we can If we want to keep it together but still edit just one piece, we click on Edit Link Parts here or in the drop-down menu, and we're just going to pick one there, and that's one of the objects. And I'm going to go into that later and show you how to start working on that as a single object. So that's Building Basics 102. Hope it covered everything that you needed to cover right there, and we'll go on to Building Basics 103 next time.